Hello my friends, family, esteemed colleagues. Since I'm introducing more and more a quantum approach to healing, or at least mentioning it, well, I'm not the only one. There is quite a few people now mentioning frequency, saying, well, it's all about frequency. Now here comes also some misunderstanding in this, and many people really cannot wrap their mind around what do you mean by frequency. So I'm being frequently asked questions to explain this. Well, those who know a bit about computers, they understand that they have a processor, and this processor is programmed to basically decode a sequence of zeros and ones. And different sequence of zeros and ones then will be decoded and manifested, shown on a screen, either as a letter A or B, or as a color, or as a sound. So when you are actually listening to music coming from computer, the information for the music is not like before that was electromagnetically recorded as a waveform. Here it is in a form of zeros and dots being presented, and then the processor creates the music from it. Now our brain is like a very sophisticated computer that decodes frequencies, but not sequences of zeros and ones, but actually frequencies themselves. Frequencies of a variety of length are being assigned either visual properties, so certain frequencies, you know that when you take a prism and you shine a light through it, on the other side it is going to break down in an array of colors. Each color represents particular frequency, but in upcoming light or incoming light, it was all together and showed as white. Now the brain is going to also separate those frequencies, and depending how it is programmed, certain frequencies it will then show through eyes, and since what it can only transmit is the frequency of a waveform, then the eyes are going to, well, eyes, again the processor, we call the observer or the manifester, or I call it creator, then take this wave frequency and turns it in dots, and we call them particles, and creates the mosaic of whatever you are seeing. So other frequencies are they are different length, and they will be processed through a different senses and showed to us as our reality, as a sense of smell, sense of taste, feeling of touch, and including emotions, emotions of love, hate, fear, excitement. Those are all frequencies, electromagnetic vibrations. And when they are processed through the brain, then they are manifested through senses of our body, creating this experience we call our reality. So nothing is really happening out there. Everything is happening within. Now, those frequencies, of course, it is not one frequency. Sometimes you hear one sound and they say, well, this is the frequency of 432 hertz. This is a perfectly tuned frequency of life. Well, it's one. We are talking here about orchestra. Now, how are these different frequencies held together to be presented? Well, in quantum field, we can see them as a geometrical shape, like a globe, like a cube, or way more complex, like tetrahedron, dodecahedron. So they are very complex, and every distance that creates, we call it visible, but in quantum field it's invisible light connection, represents one frequency. So if you have a cube, every connecting point is same frequency. Now, this gets processed. This is why when we are talking about seeing our reality, it's not one frequency, it's whole orchestra in which every instrument, every string of every instrument creates its own frequency, but they are synchronized, they are tuned to perfection, so they are harmonic and create beautiful sound. This beautiful sound is what makes us feel happy. Now, I hear very often that statement that God is love. God is pure love, 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 love. Well, love is emotion. To have emotion, you have to have a robot. You have to have manifester that will manifest this emotion. So yes, if you think that God is the biblical God that is in the heaven, that loves you when you are good and puts you, burns you for eternity if you do something that he doesn't like, well, yeah, maybe, but this is not Creator. Creator is conscious, creative energy. And much better expression for what is this energy is in Hindu, because they call it nirvana. Nirvana is absolute peace. And this is basically what Creator is. Creator doesn't do judgment. He cannot judge you. You are judging yourself because you are conscious of this. And you have been given freedom to create. So if you have a freedom to create, you create your happiness and your misery. The Creator, the conscious energy, gave you the option. So now you cannot blame him for what you're doing. We just have to understand a little bit this. This is why we say, well, we are all one. How are we all one? As a robot, we are separated. We see each other as individuals. We call it ego, consciousness of my physicality. But the soul that has this experience actually is part of the conscious, creative, energetic field. It is the Creator. So each one of us is Creator. As robots, we are individual, but in a soul or spirit connection, we are one. And this is what unites us. This is why what one does, everyone else becomes aware of. So, why is this important to understand? Everything what you experience in your reality exists in a form of frequency, conscious frequency. Now, your brain is transducer. It means, or transceiver. It receives and transmits. What do I mean by it? Well, it is like if you are a computer programmer. You can sit behind a blank computer, empty or partially empty processor, and you create particular program. And this program now shows on a screen. And then somebody else who does not know how to program or does not want to waste time can then download this program. So when you are downloading, you are actually receiving someone's already created thing. And then you are manifesting it. You are using it to manifest. But the brain or the processor, once when it has downloaded the program, it knows the program, so it can actually replicate it. Which means that our brain can replicate any frequency it is familiar with or it is programmed to. Why is this important? Because you can receive information that you turn into your reality, and when we are born, in reptilian part of a brain, a small brain, is packed the information of survival. What else do you receive? You receive the genetic adjustments to the environment, the way your parents adjusted to the environment. Which means, if your parents were vegetarians and eat a lot of vegetables, well, as you start to grow in the womb of mother, genetically, you are already adjusting to that environment. And not even that, but also through mother and through father, you already received the adjustment. So once when you are born, the environment is familiar to you. We call it we are genetically programmed. Yes, but we are not genetically labeled as unchangeable. Many children, because of growing in the environment that was toxic, environment of their mother, they are born toxic. And first opportunity they have, they start receiving plasma. In the case of mammals, it's a mother's milk. They immediately go into detox. The body immediately wants to detoxify, so the baby may be vomiting after drinking milk, may have profound diarrhea, because it is cleansing. Now doctors, since we always think that body's mechanism of fixing itself and the symptoms it causes are symptoms of diseased body, well, they go and they mingle with it, they suppress it and prevent the baby from cleansing. There are a variety of ways to do it, and it's always through toxins, through poisons. I'm just helping a 9-month-old child or 7-month-old child to close the intraventricle opening, because when fetus is in a womb, doesn't have to breathe, so atriums actually of the heart are connected as a one. They are not left and right. They have a connection like a hernia. And before the fetus and baby is born, this is supposed to close, because baby will have to breathe. And very often it's not, but it closes immediately afterwards. But this child is 7 months old or 8 months old, and doctors want to perform a surgery to close it. It's unnecessary, but in this case, it is appearing, for doctors appears it's necessary because they put the child on diuretics and all kinds of nonsense, and child was getting worse and worse. So we have to change all this, and now child is feeling better, has detoxified, and this is going to close by itself. This is genetic problem because genes react to the environment. You keep the environment toxic, there is no chance of the body to heal. It will try to detoxify, but then with detoxification, diarrhea, fever, nausea, sweating, we call it, whoa, something is wrong, this is disease. And it's not a disease. It's a toxic baby trying to detoxify, or toxic body trying to detoxify. And now, if this child starts to eat solid food, what are we trained to do? Well, first, little boiled fruits. Because if you give carbohydrate to a child, it's going to vomit. This is toxic food for us. It's not meant for us. So what our nurse is trained to do now? To lace the nipple with a little bit of starch. So the baby starts getting used to it. I mentioned very often also in my videos that when you take cyanide, 1 drop on the lip, you're dead in seconds. You put 1 drop in a big bowl of soup, have 1 spoon of it, nothing happens. Next day have 2 spoons, nothing happens. Third day you have a little plate. Well, in 2 weeks you will be able to take a drop of pure cyanide and put it in your lip, and nothing happens. You survive because you trained your body genetically what to do in a case of cyanide poisoning. But everything, even the cyanide, is nothing more than frequency. I always say structure your water. Why? Because you are changing the properties of the water, because you are changing the structure. Now, what is the structure of the water? When you cannot see it, you can look in the water, you can do whatever you want, think of anything you want, you can sing whatever you want, you don't see the change. But, as Masaru Emoto showed us first, you can flash freeze, rapidly freeze the water, and then slice it thin and look under a microscope, and you will see that there are crystalline forms now in this water, depending on a frequency that was sent to this water. Now, what causes this crystalline form? It is the frequency, because your thought is a wave of electromagnetic frequency that can be captured, can be decoded, can be replicated. Now, you can receive these frequencies and manifest them. But also, you can create them and manifest them. Now, how come we can manifest received frequencies without any problem? I mean, we are living in this reality of ours, and everything is running smooth. You know, there is the food, you know, this is a screen, you know that this is a cable, and you expect it to be, if you put it in your ear, you can hear. If you talk to the mic, you know it's going to go there. Your brain understands it. So now, how come that you can now close your eyes and visualize the cable and the earpiece. But you can even visualize someone talking or music being played, but you don't hear anything. And you open your eyes and everything disappeared what you created. Because to actually manifest into reality what your brain can create, your consciousness of your physicality, your ego, your mind, has to understand it. How did it happen to be this way? And we are running on all the wrong programs. Even the basic program that we received in a reptilian brain is not flexible. As a child, you are experiencing things, but you don't realize that if you walk off the cliff, you're going to fall down and you're going to die. Well, this is a part of the original programming. For you not to fall down, for you to levitate, you have to change that programming. And you cannot change it if you're not aware that it exists. If you think that this is natural, how it's supposed to be. Well, it is natural how it's supposed to be according to the program that we are obeying. So when somebody says, well, I want to change my diet, I'm only going to eat green, raw green. Well, try it. You will die. You can survive if you can change the programming, because you are already designed for particular food, and not because you need it, because the energy you need is produced by heart. We are living in energetic field. We are toroidal field of energy. So and this toroidal field, what is the sign for it? It's number 8. Why? Because it's self-feeding, it's self-sustaining. It always was, it is, and it always will be, no matter what you do. Not your body, because depends on the programming. But your essence, your soul, your spirit, always was, is, and always will be, because it is not dependent on programming of the robot. We are now stepping into QH, Q, quantum, which means we are going to have to understand the quantum field so that we can create, and we can create correctly and understand the creation in general. As the brain can recreate every frequency it receives, well, so can machines that we build. So the new machines, I don't know what we'll call them. Right now we call them replicators. So they can replicate anything that you put into them. You scan a car with all its components, how it works, in a machine, and the machine is going to create car for you. You don't have to anymore solder it, you don't have to physically put it together. It is going to be put together in a quantum field and just manifest it. But unless ego understands how this is done, it cannot be manifested the way how it will be manifested in QH. So we have to start understanding this quantum field. And again, big mistake is being done by physicists talking about quantum field and referring to it as a field of erratically behaving particles, because there are no particles in quantum field. To create particle, you already have to have programmed processor. which means you already have to have robot or being, whatever you want to call it, creator. Whatever you see in reality exists in a form of frequency in a quantum field. And in a quantum field, because it's all electromagnetic vibration, it is like a tape deck. Wherever you are walking through space, you are walking through electromagnetic field, and you are leaving traces behind you that can be checked, they can be confirmed. We had a dowser, very good dowser. He just really loves it in St. Martin. And he left his watch on a table. There were 5 of us in there. And he said, okay, I'm going to go out, and any one of you can take the watch, and when I come in, I will know who has the watch. So he walks out, and one guy takes the watch and gives it to another guy who puts it in his pocket. And when Roger, the dowser, came, he takes in mind his watch, raises the sticks, and immediately starts smiling. Says, ah, you tried to trick me. And then he goes and looks, checks how the rods are working, and says, okay, you took the watch, but you don't have it. You gave it to him, he has it. And this was exactly it. Because there is electromagnetic imprint left in a space that your brain captures. And then through the motion apparatus, through your muscles, it signals what it detects in this field. If brain can do it, we have now sophisticated equipment, electronics that can do the same thing. They can capture your thought. They know exactly what you are thinking. So if we can do this soon, and already I heard that this exists, this can be put into manifestation. So the machine not only receives the information, but manifests it. So it creates the watch from, we call thin air. Because it's a sacred geometry, completely finished, run through your brain that understands it and manifests it for you. Again, for the most important experiment ever conducted on this planet was the double-slit experiment. And I employ everyone to check it out. You can go to my blog and put quantum and put double-slit experiment, and articles will come out where I mention it and explain it, because many physicists are trapped and they have their versions. But as soon as they go with particles, they are saying particles then deviate. It's none of it, because you don't have particles in a quantum field. You need manifester, creator, observer that anticipates the outcome to transform the wave into anticipated shape and form. This is why manifestation is related directly to expectation. Many things that we take as a science, photon, electron, neutron, proton, they only exist because we have created them. We gave name to something that ego had to create so it understands what is happening in this reality. But because it is not correct, it cannot be practical. Because we are being told, well, what is gold remains gold. What is lead remains lead. What is copper remains copper. This is only in this reality if you believe that it is so. But then again, in your cells, your cell will use frequency of sodium and turn it into frequency of potassium because it needs it to achieve hydration. So now, oh, this is impossible. Well, it is impossible on Newtonian physics, but it is not only possible, but it's likely in quantum physics. If you understand quantum field correctly, that it is not particle, it's frequency, waveform. And according to your programming, you will respond to it in a particular way. So, as Nikola Tesla said, it's all about voltage and frequency. And this is what we get in a quantum field. Even without observer, in a quantum field, there is a creation of magnetic positive, magnetic negative, or light, where positive and negative meets, there is a spark. And flow of energy that we call electricity. It's a wave, it's not a particle, which means that electron does not go anywhere. It's not electron. Electron doesn't exist. It's energetic flow. And this is why in physics we call it electron, in biology we call it hydrogen, and it's one and the same. It's just energetic flow. Well, there will be much more we have to learn. We are just basically tiptoeing on a subject. Well, we have to start learning. And to be able to learn, we have to be able to absorb and let go of what no longer serves us. So we have to get rid of this Newtonian physics and start fresh using quantum. And again, don't ask indoctrinated physicists about quantum field, because they always go into freaking particle. There is no particle in a quantum field. Always keep that in mind. It's only energy, conscious, creative energy. I hope that to some this opened a little bit their mind towards it. But you know, whenever we step into a new field, it is like trying to play a new instrument. You sit behind piano and you think you have two left hands. You cannot make it work. And it takes a while before you can put together the simplest song. But once when you do that, then you rapidly start improving. Same is with anything else, including science. Getting your brain synaptically to coherently connect, and then little by little, and then much more rapidly, it starts improving. And then when you hit the wall that you don't know how to proceed, all you have to do is ask, because you will receive the necessary information directly from the source, from the creator, which is not a bearded man, but it's conscious, creative, energetic field. Thank you for listening. Until next time, love you all. God bless you. Namaste.